The tighter you grasp a handful of sand, the faster it runs through your fingers. Henry David Thoreau. You see, we often find ourselves in a paradoxical struggle, desperately clinging to our desires, goals, and outcomes, only to watch them slip away like sand through our fingers. Have you ever noticed the more desperately we seek something, the more it seems to evade us? This is known as the law of reverse effect. This law explains why sometimes our intense efforts to achieve something can actually push us further from our goals. When we obsess over getting a certain outcome, we often create pressure and anxiety that hinder our performance. For example, a salesperson who desperately needs to make a sale might come across as pushy, actually turning potential customers away. The law of reverse effect reminds us that sometimes the key to success is not in trying harder, but in letting go, trusting the process, and allowing things to unfold naturally. We set our sights on success, happiness, or personal growth, and in our eagerness to achieve these aims, we inadvertently push them further away. This counterintuitive dynamic leaves us grappling with a fundamental question: how can we achieve our goals if the very act of pursuing them pushes them further away? Is there a way to break free from this cycle of effort and disappointment? And perhaps most intriguingly, could the secret to success lie in caring less about the outcome? Well, let me tell you a story. There was a young Zen monk named Takuan. Takuan was known for his eagerness to attain enlightenment. He meditated for hours each day, studied ancient texts tirelessly, and constantly pestered his master with questions about how to reach enlightenment faster. One day, frustrated by his lack of progress, Takuan approached his master and demanded, "Master, I've been working so hard. Why haven't I achieved enlightenment yet?" The master, seeing Takuan's frustration, took him for a walk to a nearby stream. He asked Takuan to cup his hands and scoop up some water. "Now," said the master, "try to hold on to that water as tightly as you can." Takuan squeezed his hands together, determined to keep every drop. But the harder he squeezed, the faster the water slipped through his fingers. The master smiled and said, "Takuan, enlightenment is like this water. The tighter you try to grasp it, the more it eludes you. Instead of grasping, learn to be open and receptive, like your cupped hands. Only then can you truly hold what you seek." Takuan realized that his intense desire and effort to achieve enlightenment was actually pushing it further away. From that day on, he approached his practice with a more relaxed and open mindset, ironically making much faster progress than before. Our desperate attempts to control outcomes can backfire, whether it's chasing success, searching for happiness, or trying to force a relationship. Sometimes the best approach is to loosen our grip and allow things to unfold naturally. When we obsess over something we want, it's like we're always on edge. We can't relax or enjoy the present moment because we're so focused on what we don't have yet. This constant worry and stress drains our energy and makes us less effective in everything we do. It's like trying to catch a butterfly. The more aggressively you swipe at it, the more likely it is to fly away. But if you stay calm and still, it might just land right on your shoulder. This over-anxious approach can lead us to make bad decisions too. We might rush into things without thinking them through, or take unnecessary risks because we're so desperate to reach our goal. Or we might freeze up and not take any action at all because we're so afraid of failing. The irony is that all this frantic energy often pushes away the very things we're chasing. People can sense desperation, and it's not attractive. Opportunities tend to come to those who are calm, confident, and open. In the words of Henry David Thoreau, true success often arrives when you're too busy living to notice its approach. That means when we're so fixated on one specific outcome, we might miss other great opportunities that come our way. We become inflexible and blind to alternative paths that could lead to even better results. Also, this habit can leave us feeling stressed, disappointed, and stuck. We end up further from our goals and unhappy with where we are right now. It's a lose-lose situation that can really hold us back in life. So how can we escape this dilemma of caring too much? 1. Practicing deliberate non-attachment. Deliberate non-attachment is a practice where you consciously choose to loosen your grip on the outcomes you desire. It doesn't mean you stop caring or trying, far from it. Instead, it's about changing your relationship with your goals. The first step in deliberate non-attachment is awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings throughout the day. Are you constantly checking your phone for that important email? Do you feel anxious when you think about your goal? These can be signs of unhealthy attachment. When you notice yourself obsessing, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, "This is attachment." Just naming it can help create some distance between you and the thought. Then decide to let it go. This is the heart of the practice. Remind yourself that while you're doing your best, you can't control everything. Try saying something like, "I'm doing my best, and I choose not to be attached to the result." Once you've acknowledged the attachment and chosen to let go, bring your attention back to the present moment. What can you do right now that's within your control? Let's say you're preparing for a job interview. You really want this job, and you find yourself constantly imagining worst-case scenarios or obsessing over every detail of your resume. You notice you're feeling anxious and can't stop thinking about the interview. You take a deep breath and think, "This is attachment to the outcome of the interview." You remind yourself, "I've prepared well and I'll do my best. The final decision is out of my hands, and that's okay." Instead of worrying, you focus on reviewing your notes one last time or practicing some relaxation techniques. By practicing deliberate non-attachment, you see that. You feel less stressed and anxious. You perform better because you're not paralyzed by fear of failure. You're more open to opportunities you might have missed when fixated on one specific outcome. You enjoy the process more regardless of the result. Remember, this is a practice. It takes time and patience to master. Be kind to yourself as you learn to loosen your grip on outcomes. With consistent effort, you'll likely find yourself feeling more relaxed, confident, and ironically, more likely to achieve your goals. 2. Set process goals instead of outcome goals. The next piece of advice is to set process goals instead of outcome goals. This shift in focus can dramatically change how you approach your ambitions and reduce the anxiety that often comes with chasing big dreams. Let's break this down. An outcome goal is something like, "I must get that promotion," or "I need to lose 20 pounds. These goals are focused entirely on the end result. While they can be motivating, they also put a lot of pressure on you and can lead to disappointment if things don't go exactly as planned. On the other hand, a process goal focuses on the daily actions you can take to move towards your desired outcome. It's about what you can control right now, today. Let's say it's, "I want to get a promotion at work." Now ask yourself, what daily actions can I take that will make this outcome more likely? These could be improving a specific skill related to your job, consistently delivering high-quality work, building better relationships with your colleagues, taking on additional responsibilities. Then turn these actions into process goals. For example, I will spend 30 minutes each day learning a new skill relevant to my job. I will complete all my tasks on time and to the best of my ability. I will have a positive interaction with at least one colleague each day. I will volunteer for one new project or task each month. By focusing on these process goals, you're doing two important things. First, you're taking consistent action towards your larger goal. Each day, you're making progress, even if it's just a little bit. This steady progress can lead to significant improvements over time. Second, you're shifting your focus from something you can't entirely control, getting the promotion, to things you can control, your daily actions and habits. This shift can greatly reduce anxiety and increase your sense of accomplishment. Remember, you can't control whether you get the promotion or not. That decision ultimately lies with your superiors and depends on many factors, some of which might be out of your hands. But you can control how you show up each day, the effort you put in, and the value you bring to your team. 3. Implement the do-nothing technique. Now I know what you're thinking. Do nothing. How is that going to help me achieve my goals? But stick with me, because this simple practice can be incredibly powerful. The do-nothing technique is exactly what it sounds like, a practice where you intentionally pause and do absolutely nothing for a short period of time. It's a way to interrupt the cycle of constant action and anxious striving that often keeps us stuck. This is an extremely powerful technique to do it. First, set a timer. When you feel the urge to push harder or control a situation, set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes. Then find a comfortable position to sit or lie down. You don't need to adopt any special posture. Just be comfortable and gently close your eyes to minimize external distractions. For the duration of the timer, simply observe your thoughts and feelings without acting on them. Don't try to change them or push them away. Just notice them, as if you're watching clouds pass in the sky. Resist the urge to do. You might feel a strong urge to get up and do something that's normal. Just notice that urge without giving into it. Finally, when the timer goes off, slowly open your eyes and return to your day. You might be wondering, how can doing nothing possibly help me? Here's the thing. Often, our constant striving and doing is counterproductive. We get caught in a cycle of anxious action that actually moves us further from our goals. The do-nothing technique breaks this cycle. By pausing and observing without acting, you break the cycle of automatic reactions that might not be serving you. And in the stillness, you might gain insights about your situation that weren't visible when you were caught up in doing. Even a short period of deliberate non-action can significantly lower your stress levels. 4. Use paradoxical intention. The fourth lesson is to use paradoxical intention. This powerful technique, developed by psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, can help you overcome stubborn challenges by flipping your approach on its head. Identify what you're struggling with. Let's say you can't fall asleep at night. Instead of trying harder to achieve your goal, deliberately attempt the opposite. In this case, try to stay awake as long as possible. By doing this, you remove the pressure and anxiety associated with trying to force an outcome. Paradoxically, this often leads to achieving your original goal more easily. This technique breaks the cycle of anxious effort that can often sabotage our attempts to solve problems. It's particularly effective for issues like insomnia, performance anxiety, or repetitive thoughts. Remember, the key is to genuinely commit to the opposite intention. Don't just pretend, really try to stay awake, or whatever the opposite of your goal might be. You might be surprised at how effective this counterintuitive approach can be. 5. Adopt a playful seriousness mindset. Approach your goals with the attitude of a child at play, fully engaged but not overly concerned with the outcome. This balance of effort and detachment can help you avoid the pitfalls of trying too hard. This technique was also developed by psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. This technique involves deliberately trying to do the opposite of what you want. This can relieve pressure and often leads to the desired outcome. To practice this, identify what you're struggling with. For example, you might be having trouble falling asleep. Instead of trying to achieve your goal, intentionally do the opposite. If you can't sleep, try to stay awake instead. Notice how this shift in intention affects your stress levels and your ability to achieve your original goal. Let's say you're dealing with insomnia. You've been tossing and turning, desperately trying to fall asleep. Here's how you might apply paradoxical intention. You acknowledge that you're struggling to sleep. Instead of trying to force sleep, you decide to try to stay awake as long as possible. You might even challenge yourself to keep your eyes open, focusing on staying alert. Often this removes the pressure to fall asleep, allowing your body to relax naturally. By using paradoxical intention, you might find that your anxiety about the problem decreases. You stop trying so hard, which can often be counterproductive. The desired outcome occurs more naturally and easily. Remember, this technique can feel counterintuitive at first. It takes practice and patience. Be open to the process and see how it works for you. By adopting a playful, serious mindset, you might find you enjoy the process more, reducing stress and anxiety. You're more creative and open to new approaches. You're more resilient in the face of setbacks. You make steady progress without the burnout that can come from over-seriousness. Remember, playful seriousness is about finding a balance. It's okay to care about your goals, but try not to let that care turn into anxiety or rigid expectations. Stay engaged, stay curious, and don't forget to enjoy the journey. For more wisdom and practical philosophy, subscribe to our channel where we post new discussions weekly. Until next time, may your life be filled with purpose and your days with wisdom.